Once upon a time, there was a man who died. It was a short story, wasn't it?
In all seriousness, this story does begin with a man's death. Herr Drosselmeyer, spinner of stories in the secluded Gold Crown town, was in the middle of penning his next masterpiece, The Prince and the Raven, when he kicked the bucket. But Drosselmeyer had a unique gift that those around him feared, the power to imbue his stories with life.
The raven escaped from the pages of the story, and the prince pursued the fell creature. In the end, the prince took out his own heart and sealed the raven away by using a forbidden power. Just then, a murmur came from somewhere. "This is great," said the old man who was supposed to have died.
For his next trick, Drosselmeyer morphs his world into a blend of fantasy and reality, with talking animals and classic fables come to life, and calls to a little duckling who has fallen in love with the heartless prince. He offers to give her the chance to restore his heart to him, along with his memories, and give him the power to love again. As a human girl named Duck, she attends the same ballet school as the prince, now named Muto, and meets new friends Piquet and Lilier, who frost her with sugar-coated sadism on a daily basis because she's a rather web-footed dancer. Well, at least her instructor, Mr. Cat, is an excellent motivator.
If you practice earnestly, I'll put you back with the beginners.
Oh, yes, sir.
Practice poorly, though, and I'll have you marry me forthwith!
With the powers of the pendant Drosselmeyer gave her, Duck becomes the elegant Princess Tutu whenever a shard of the prince's heart is near, rescuing his wayward emotions from the hearts of others through feats of dance. Unfortunately, Muto's roommate Fakir is determined to keep Muto locked away from his memories for his own reasons.
Muto has no need of a heart.
What are you saying? There's no way!
And just what do you know? I know everything about Muto. What do you know?
Along with Muto's possessive girlfriend Rue, who prefers him as a heartless doll and may be more than she appears.
Trust me, Muto. You do love me.
Okay, then I do love you.
Yes, remember that. You don't need to understand, and you don't need a heart either.
As Duck struggles against these obstacles and the hidden machinations of the dormant raven, and Drosselmeyer, it becomes clearer and clearer that the author of this story within a story has been setting up his characters for a marvelous tragedy to rival all his gruesome tales before it. Princess Tutu may be only a little duck, but she's determined to take the twists and turns of this grimmest of fairy tales and give Drosselmeyer's omnibus its very first happy ending, whether he likes it or not. Okay, cutting the snazz talk for a minute, this is a magical girl show. Yeah. A magical girl show about ballerinas. I hear this, I think, please shoot me now. Because that means a lot of cutesy, feel-good speeches, a transformation sequence every episode, and the slow collection of some infinite amount of magical items you see on the front of way too many collectible trading cards. I'm not going to be able to sit through 2 episodes of this. Wrong! About the only assumption that proved true was that there is a transformation sequence in every episode, but it's just 15 seconds long. Princess Tutu claims to be the last great Marchen, which is a classic Grimm's fairy tale, and if you've ever read those original folk stories, you know to expect whimsical fantasy combined with dark melancholy, rather than any Hannah Montana cutesiness out of this adventure. On the technical side of things, Tutu's animation is rather economical, which just means they took what looks like a Pokemon-sized budget and did a smashing job making it look really pretty. The backgrounds can skew from looking like a pop-up book to a carefully lit stage, reflecting Tutu's style as part fairy tale and part ballet performance. Despite the bright palette of the show, the watercolor hues never look too garish either. The animation itself is somewhat limited, pulling out all the stops during action sequences and detailed dances, but relying on panned stills and other shortcuts many other times. Even during those times, though, it still looks beautiful, and this is very much due to the music. The entirety of Tutu's soundtrack consists of classical, ballet, and operatic compositions from Wagner, to Tchaikovsky,
Come dance with me, Miss Epine.
and even Satie.
Who are you?
Princess Crahy.
The rare interludes of original music are still at least based on famous themes, like the Flower Waltz, and overall, the Fantasia-like integration of all these famous pieces is probably second only to Cowboy Bebop in its brilliance of the music combining with the story. The voice work is enchanting in both languages, and preferences will split where they always do, with favorable results on both sides. For the dub, prima donna props need to be given to Lucy Christian for possibly her best role as Duck. Sweet, heartfelt, and adorably klutzy.
Somehow, he wasn't like the usual fakir.
If you do, I'll make sure you pay for it.
No. He's definitely a bad guy. I'm not going to be fooled just because the bread was tasty.
Other all-stars like Chris Patton and Jessica Boone perform a rich and compelling Fakir and Rue, respectively, along with Drosselmeyer's ghostly timbre, his puppet Adel's silky poeticisms, and Mr. Cat's hysterical feline lisp. Really, there's too much magical goodness in this great dub to mention all of it. Like most magical girl shows, however, Princess Tutu can be a little formulaic. For the first few episodes, Duck becomes Princess Tutu, finds a shard of Muto's heart that is controlling some other poor soul's emotions, and duels with Dance to soothe their troubled hearts and release the shard to Muto once more. Rinse and repeat. Now, unlike most magical girl shows, this doesn't go on unshaken for very long at all, and it's not the only thing going on by a long shot. The writers of Tutu foreshadow great changes to come and squeeze character development to every minute that they can, making this series only partially episodic but with nary a minute of filler. The exception to this are the many useless little scenes where PK and Lilie share exposition and beat Duck senseless like the little brats they are. This is the lowest point of an otherwise engrossing experience, and thankfully, the darker the series gets, the less those two show up. And boy, does it darken. The story often unravels to inevitable and tragic ends, but still switches dynamics just when you've gotten comfortable enough with the formula to pitch you a new one. Like Muto regaining his heart only to discover it's not near as pure as he had anticipated. And finally finishing in an incredibly beautiful and satisfying Aufwiedersehen. It never becomes inappropriately dark, though, making it that rare anime that children can watch and furthermore is actually very good for them. Duck is a very admirable heroine and espouses powerful virtues you don't see in the watered-down bilge about gossip and credit cards that young girls are watching on the Disney Channel nowadays. Growing the viewership up a little, I have to admit this may be too girly for a lot of dudes, though. Here's the test, guys. If you can still watch The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, or Beauty and the Beast with pride at your age, then you will enjoy Princess Tutu, Men in Tights or no Men in Tights. This exciting overhaul of the magical girl genre would be fantastic enough, but it deconstructs expectations even further by turning itself into a sort of storybook metafiction. Every episode contains scads of references to famous fairy tales and ballets with new crafty twists on their meaning and how they reflect the ongoing saga of the Prince and the Raven.
Then, at the stroke of midnight, the maiden ran away, leaving a glass slipper, and she returned to being Cinderella once again. The prince went to great lengths to find this maiden, which he did, and took her as his wife. Yet, a thorny question arises. Did the prince really fall in love with the maiden?
The main characters know they are pawns in Drosselmeyer's story and approach this knowledge in many different ways, some with acceptance, some with defiance, and some with the determination to outright him themselves, providing by far the greatest twists of an already well-penned story. Though it hides behind ducky magical girl origins, Princess Tutu blossoms into a truly exquisite swan of a fantasy that will hopefully make you want to dance with glee with each turn of the page. Princess Tutu is available from ADV Films. A manga adapted from the series by Mizuo Shinonome is also available from ADV. Now, usually I don't mention extras beyond bloopers, which Tutu has.
She appeared and touched me. The same place where I touched you? Bitch.
But since I have the time, I must say that Princess Tutu is packed with more informative and entertaining bonus features that add so much to the experience than any other series I've currently seen.
All in all, Princess Tutu is a ballet-themed twisted fantasy like nothing else out there, with wonderful characters and timeless music and dance. I'll admit it may have narrower appeal, regular reliance on formula, and a few annoying characters that throw it off balance every now and again, but in all its genre-shattering near perfection, I just can't justify giving it any lower than 4 characters who just won't do as they're written.
If you're the knight, you have to conquer any fears you have and defeat the villain. If you're the villain, you have to eliminate the princess without any show of mercy. If you're the princess, you have to save the prince by the power of your love. If you're the prince, you have to use your wisdom and courage. Oh, don't you know the danger you put yourself in not knowing your place?
Out of 4.
I'm not finished with you yet.
No, teacher, my leg benders hurt!